Hello everyone, my name is Wang. This is my second workshop. My project title is School Ground Greening, which is develop a model for comprehensive design with multiple benefits. So follow is the contact. I will follow each stage to give, first is to the research background information, and followed by the rationale of my project, and also to analyze the local case study and overseas case study, and to summarize the method what they used, and to point out and and give the critic feedback and the reason why I chose this case study, and also may give the possible sites that I chose. And finally, it's kind of like my project's methodology, but not really complete of the method what I will use. So as the first stage is to my research question. How can the value of school ground greening projects be increased for all stakeholders and their communities through a co-design process? As autumn, I gave the definition of what is co-design, which is a user the designer take an action, hold on role in this design of school buildings or projects, and work directly and collaboratively with the designing teams, like in my case is children, and to develop this design through a model, for example. And here is the background information, like what is school ground greening, which is to improvement of school grounds through development of garden and outdoor learning opportunities. And followed by is to summarize all the popularities of the school ground greening projects as inflexible education system, and also for the healthy issue, the more obesity and the lack of outdoor physical activities, and diminishing the experience linked with nature, and as during the curriculum learning connection, they can get more like math and science learning, and also got cultural integration and later understanding of where foods come from, and also like understanding of ecological relationship, or maybe a little bit smaller. And as I researched that there are some school ground greening projects is situated in this environmental learning, education projects, but some of the projects without this support, kind of like umbrella programs. Here showing the example of the school ground greening projects. As the first picture is showing with the kind of like a sculpture garden. They used recycling materials, abandoned computer to build this. And the second one is a basic on the lyrics that stories, and gives a sense of to appreciate the trees. And followed by the picture is to before it's a swimming pool, and they repurposed this in a hydroponic unit as a food or veg garden. And followed by its other native trees contained garden. And here summarize the benefit of this school ground greening can offering to like environment learning, social skills, and appreciate of food and nature, and so on. And here I proposed these many school ground greening projects are vulnerable, or their full potential may not full released all these functions, because as generally they are underfunded, and the Ministry of Education doesn't fund the school ground projects in the same way as they funded for the buildings. And they are often reliant on single teachers who may become overburdened or move on. And they need to be supported at all levels with the school, with passions, more energies, and more knowledge on these projects. And also, they often miss potential learning opportunities to involve the children to participate in this kind of like collaborative design process. And also, the teachers or other school staff usually quite lack of experience in this field. So these last 2 points is to form the underpinning the rationale of my project. As I believe this is needed to investigate this design aspect of school ground greening project, because it's both as a knowledge and resourcing issues, and also as a design-based learning opportunities for school children. I will investigate the relationship between children and nature, and also the participatory series, the relationship in the design, and also give the examples to involve kind of like landscape architects or other professionals working with this project, and also to outline the some case studies, the method what they used, which include like local and overseas case study, and also to critique them, and also will to identify the environment education programs, and which is made suitable for my method. And here is just to diagram before I said that each investigate stage, and I followed them to by the rationale, like what, how, and why I go through each stage and give the detail and followed. But for the design idea part is may happen for my next workshop to showing how I worked with the children and that the possible side I chose and all the details. And here is showing that I involve the landscape architects or other professionals to this project, and what benefits they can offering, like a diagram in like a tree, because it looks more, I think it's suitable for my idea for this project. And it's summarized like a more sustainable as a longer lasting and also easier to care this school ground as a further, and also could give benefit like low cost. And also they provide various benefits, not only for the kids or communities, it's also for the school and the landscape architect. And next part is for the part of the valuable green corridor across the cities, quite promote the biodiversity. And here I point to my research aim to develop and test a design process that could be usefully applied to school ground greening projects, and in order to improve the environmental learning and promote biodiversity, and to engender students' ownership and a sense of place, and ensure the practical and creativity design solutions through this collaborative design approach. And here gives a participatory series, as I give the key point, like they involve co-designers. This is the children in this case, and to in a decision-making process and increase their levels of autonomy, and also have the consultation part. This is just the structure process of seeking the views from the children's, and then will commitment by the participants' views, and to provide feedbacks on this, and also give the transformation, like functionally changed in the learning and behaviors is usually be a positive. And here on this side is this showing from the hardest ladder of participation, and they deliver divided in different levels. At the bottom three is non-participation, up 5 levels showing different degree of the participation in this design process. And here is my local case study I analyzed. As the first one is in Auckland, the Northwest Royal Road School. This is engineers in school, a case study. As they have the problem as in the school need a solution of how for the over storage the water, how to run out, because they lack of this kind of engineer knowledge. gives a picture as how the engineers worked with the children. As first they kind of like to let the children to write a letter and to provide their ideas what they want to do in this wind turbine project, and followed by the collecting the children's idea. It's kind of like before I mentioned like that consultation stage, and also they followed by the modeling workshop to engage all the students to participate this design workshop, and then finally to complete this wind turbine projects, like how it looks like. Here is before the modeling one, and also missed another part is the water tank, and how it goes through into this garden and to watering these trees, small trees. And back to the second project, a case study is for the Margaret Mays family playground. Is in the Christchurch. Like before, because the disaster earthquake, the place needed to rebuild a place to serve to the children. But this project still working on, and it will open during Christmas. And so it's just on the master planning purviews, as looks like this, and it's quite a big range and serves different age of children to play in here. But as I know, one point is at the initial stage of this project, they organized all the children as a competition, but it's quite a range of the students from kindergarten or secondary and high school students. They use what they can understand the approach to participate. Some is using the modeling ones. Some students to kind of like sketch up what they dreaming play area, and this is basic on the, like they named like Margaret Macy the stories, and use that idea to put in this project. And the third one is the Square project is located in the center of Auckland, and this one is just happened. They engaged 5 boys and 6 girls in this project, and as I can search of the information, like they may only stay kind of like a consultation stage, seeking the children's view, like what they like, or to photograph the place and put the picture in the big one, and to showing their ideas, and also to go through these stages to design, finish the master plan, and let the kids to review the master plan. So as I identified the environmental education program, like up 4 program is belong to the New Zealand is Enviro School, which is to empowering children to develop sustainable communities. And the second one is for children and communities to focus on the appreciate of the water, how the waterways go through, and the catchment restoration. And followed this one is Tree for Survive, which is to promoting to plant and grow small trees, native trees. And this one is Garden to Table. This is quite clear to showing is for the food issue. And followed by these 3 programs is for the overseas program. As first one is Green Schoolyard from American. It's to develop a sustainable school ground and to linked to the neighborhood and environment. And this one is Learning Through Landscape from the UK. It's also to empower children to develop a sustainable community. And this is a global one, is Eco School. And here we'll analyze the overseas case studies. As first I chose, first is the buildings block, which this project is the method they used is also quite range numbers of students. So they can separate them in each small groups, content like 3 or 8 students in the groups. This is a good reason I chose is give more equal opportunities for all the students to participate in this process. And also they involving the 6 facilitator architects in this design is another good reason to get the children to will understanding this design process. As here is showing up these pictures, like this is the first workshop is to engage how to exploring things and discussing what they design and give kind of like what is good and what is weakness of their ideas, and go through with the second workshop and to collecting all the ideas to do a modeling workshop. And the second case study is the Bollyfield Primary School. The method they use is a cartoon strip and also go for a school trip. As engage all the students as the outdoor activities as a game, which is give a real time and a real place to letting the children to easily understand their goal, what they will achieve and present. And also another good reason is will attract the children to participate in this design. And also they also use kind of like a modeling workshop and make this all the projects to continue going. And the third one is to bunker siege project. This one is also gave a kind of like a guide trip by the professional. It's their expertise, because as this project I noticed that the students, as the initial students, they are quite dark, heavy, and closed of the ideas. They're not quite engaged and understanding the project. But after the trip, and also with the expertise explanation, they quite will to engage in this design process.
It's 5 minutes.
Oh, my God. Yeah, and this showing the how they go through each stage and to work together. And this is another followed case study is the Chimney Park. This case study is involve landscape architects, and they also using the outside trip to give more background information and to engage children collecting their idea and to participate in drawing, and this is the final how they present this. And this also another same one, but it's from Australia. It's also using the photograph, the drawing, and also have the they also can inside and outside the trip to get more information. So I summarize all the methods they use. Like first one is the children's drawing is the most common method that they usually the design to choose. This is good to abandon children's idea, and the drawing are very open to interpretation, and also reduce a problem as annotating the drawing with the children. And the second method is to foster the democratic process with children by designing a competition in order to review children's knowledge and interest in these phenomena. And also third method is for the children and the individuals who are, this is to describe the modeling part. This really solved the problem of the miscommunication, and they allowed all the parties to be able to kind of like visualize. They can see that, and to purpose it looks more clearly for them. And the last one is to working in a team of 3 or 4 small members of this team is it's easier to engage all the students, and also before I mentioned equal opportunities, letting them participate in this. So also that EnviroSchool have their approach they use, like a whole school approach, and shared decision making, and also the main main method is action learning. All the methods is quite useful and also suitable for my further project use. And also they showing the achievement as a further, it's really improve all this. And also I got other information like the EnviroSchool have their 5 focus area, like living landscape, zero waste, and energy could appreciate or reuse them, and also ecological building and water of life. All the focus area are largely compatible with my school ground greening project. This is just the survey data, and I gave the Auckland school mapping. This also is include EnviroSchool and other primary, intermediate, and secondary school. As all the schools showing the point is only 197 belong to the EnviroSchools. And further I will. As before I mentioned, this one is last time I visit and have communicate with their school staffs, and they kind of like commit their point, like they really required a core design projects, and like using this kind of like method to work with the children, and they want to create outdoor space for cooking or eating, and they need professionals to guide them to letting these projects to continue. And during the conversation, really noticed that the school staff really focus on the detail, like what they want built, like a barbecue or pizza oven, but they not really realize, like focus on the site where they will choose and how it will use, and the function and the future of how to maintaining this kind of like design. So it could be my possible site to choose this school. And also another one, like before they doing engineers the wind turbine project. And also we have another kind of like communication with them. They also continue, like they will have the backtrack, and further they want to provide more greenery space for the school ground. So it's another opportunity to work with them and with the children. And this is just initial method I will use, but not complete of them. Like first is to give the kind of like a PowerPoint presentation to give them the overall basic general background information, and also it's maybe only around 10 or 15 minutes, and also give the open-ended question time and the school trip to know and to really notice what they want to do and what they like in this design process. And as also followed, like has another series like action research process and go, but further information is still working and study on that one. Yeah, that's all. That's all.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Okay, panel.
Well, congratulations. I think it was a very interesting topic, and I think somehow it has its own level of uniqueness. While you were presenting, my head was going around like miles an hour trying to understand how the hell you're going to handle all that kids. And I think that's actually what I'm interested on. It's you know, like it's very clear your method, how you're gonna actually deal with all the nuts and bolts of that process. But my questions rely how, in one hand, how you're gonna deal with the children, how you're gonna put them, how you're gonna explain them what is important for them to look at as a designer, how you as a designer are going to translate that information into a design, and how you're going to assess the outcome. The outcome, in one hand, from the workshop with the children, because I don't think that probably all the information will be relevant, and the outcome is you as a designer in order to fulfill the program that you set up at the beginning. So yeah, how do you plan to do that?
Yes, as before I mentioned each the case studies and point out the benefit, like what method they used, and some of the method I realized is quite suitable in my project. Like first give them overall background information, like what is my project looks like.
But how are you going to explain them, because you can't use the landscape architecture language to them?
Oh no, it's quite professional for them to difficult to understand this. It's kind of like same as PowerPoint to present them and give the how to say this is to like some easy example, like before I mentioned some sculpture garden or some recycle things that is good to appreciate this, to have a sense of protecting the global environment, something like that.
Go on. No, I think it's brilliant to teach the younger generation about how to be sustainable and how to be socially responsible around those topics. I think that the idea is very exciting. I'm actually very curious to know how it's going to look like in your third workshop. I suppose. The next one. But I think that I would be concerned how I'm going to keep their attention in what you're trying to do, because their attention span is very short.
That's I point in some case studies they have short. So as the first stage, I engage them like a game, like put them to outdoor activities and to get more patience on this design projects. Like you said, they quite short attention on some things.
And I think that would be, in your study, would be very interesting to actually map the profile of the children that you are talking about, because you bring all these studies from overseas, and I believe that all the children are very different because they have grown in a different environment. So I think it's good for you to, once you go through these methods or this process with them, that you really map who are we talking about. And I think that another aspect that I was thinking that would be quite interesting is how you're going to assure that the minorities will be involved, because you're going to have all these different children from different backgrounds. So how are you going to keep them all involved, and how their views, let's say, can be represented in what you will be doing. And not that only the most opinionated children will be able to pronounce it themselves, but how can you have a very interesting sample that all this cultural diversity can be represented in your what you're trying to do.
The two possible sites is all belong to the environment schools, and they have their focus area. So I also will focus on that too small focus area, like a zero waste or living landscape. This topic to letting children to engage this and have the topic they want to discuss. And also I will discover what they like, because before we have the kind of like a school trip to finalize the problem what this school have, because different school may have different problem that they want to solve.
No, I think that you're on the right track. I think after you are done with the workshop with them, it would be very interesting to see how your design ideas start to emerge. But yeah, well done.
I think it's such an interesting idea of participation doing co-design, and it's an area I don't think we've been very expert in New Zealand. In times past, I know that there's been councils in New Zealand who have worked with communities and say they're going down a co-design approach, but then often things have fallen apart at the last moment. It's possibly easier to do it, although you are working with children, in a school environment than it might be with the diversity of opinion you sometimes get in a wider community, and often angry communities. I think you showed a really good understanding of participation and the degrees of participation from listening to open engagement, and there's all those, you can do professional training. This is a whole professional area of participation, and consultation is such an expert area. So that's why I find it really interesting that you're getting into and going to be crossing the realms of landscape design, landscape architecture, and participation and consultation, and how to marry those together, and bringing up all those interesting dilemmas about the role of an expert or the role of a professional versus the role of the client that you need to meet. And in this case, kind of students. And I'm kind of will be fascinated as you go forward, as Bruno said, how you fully embrace the idea of co-design and go through the process of when your students come up with ideas, and how they assess those, and how you work with them for them to assess them, and them to kind of come up with and give them the skills to evaluate and decide what will work for them and what won't work. That'll be quite a challenge to pass on that kind of method evaluation.
This will take a long period, but it's kind of another opportunity to engaging other students to get more learning of the environment information.
And I wonder one of the ways to do that, of course, is working with some students to be facilitators, and working with the teachers, of course, and with its parents too. To be facilitators, for rather than you being the sole facilitator, for other people to be facilitators as well, which I think is a good way to go. Coming back to your original question and project brief, increasing the value of school ground greening projects through a co-design process for communities. I guess maybe I was looking at it from a particular tangent when I saw that question first of all, and it might just be because of where I've kind of come from and my understanding of where schools are fitting in communities. There's this movement to make schools very much part of the physical and social community that they sit in, and so it might be interesting for you to explore a wider perspective. It may well be that you're planning to do this of rather than just the students themselves, or how it involves that wider community, how the school faces outward to its community, and how the gardens, the greening, etc., enables the surrounding streets and houses physically to be integrated, but also to be socially integrated. So there's a reciprocal relationship there, and that's that community aspect, I guess, which would be interesting to take further too. Because of course, that ownership idea comes not only from the students and the kids, but also from the parents too, I guess. It's kind of a self-reinforcing thing if it's done at both levels, I guess. It's great. But look, it's an exciting project. And challenging, because
as a co-design, how to collaborate to work.
Co-design is a challenging area we need to learn a lot more about, I think. Well done. That's good.
Of course.
So that was a really good presentation. You went through everything really clearly. So I had a very clear picture of where you were heading. And I'll hop back to that original question as well. And my comment is maybe just going to push a little bit further with where you're heading with the impact of what you find out. And that original one of the problems you identified at the beginning was that school ground greening doesn't happen because the ministry doesn't fund it.
Yeah.
The enviro schools are limited. They get a little bit of funding, but not much. So school ground greening happens because parents and teachers have the passion to do it, and you identified that.
Yeah, very well.
So it would be good through your co-design process to think about how your process and methodology can help answer that question a little bit. Whether there's a way in the co-design process that you can help the school community identify realistic ways to cheaply incorporate initiatives because they might not have lots of funding, and the models of participation that you're using to guide. Maybe your contribution at the end, when you've tested it, will be identifying
Which level I'll reach.
and identifying a specific component for New Zealand school ground greening that answers some of that question, and then that would have some real impact. It would be something that you could sort of and identifying through the design process how important greening is to the community and the kids. So I can imagine, for example, the outcome being something that you could go to the Ministry of Education and say, come on guys, you should be funding some landscape work as well as the buildings, because look how important it is, look what you can achieve out of it. So a few little outcomes that relate to that would be, and I think you can get them through looking at your co-design process if you think of the co-design as helping to answer that. Does that make sense? Because I really like that idea of thinking that through and having an impact on how you can make a difference to our situation.
Thanks for that.
Very good.
Young comments? No? All good? Great. On that note, thanks very much.
Thank you.